I spent 68 years running from my mother's life, only to find myself standing in her kitchen. Not literally. She's been gone for 12 years now. But last Tuesday, I woke up at 5 in the morning without an alarm, made coffee in silence, and sat at my table staring at nothing. The house was so quiet I could hear the refrigerator hum, and in that moment, I felt her. Not her ghost, her exhaustion. My name is Emma. I'm 68 years old, and I live alone in a small house in Maryland. My hair is still long, though it's more silver than black now. The lines around my eyes are deep. I earned them. Every choice I made, every mile I put between myself and the life she lived, I thought those lines meant freedom. But lately, I've been waking up to her silence. I grew up in the 50s and 60s in a house that smelled like floor polish and fried chicken. My mother wore aprons every day. She cooked 3 meals, ironed my father's shirts, and smiled when people visited. But I knew the truth. I saw it in the way she stared out the kitchen window while washing dishes, her hands moving, but her mind somewhere else. She never said she was unhappy. She didn't have to. I remember one specific afternoon when I was 14. I came home from school and found her sitting at the kitchen table with her hands folded in her lap. No radio, no movement, just sitting. When I asked if she was okay, she smiled and said she was resting, but her eyes looked hollow, like something inside her had gone to sleep and forgotten to wake up. I remember thinking she looked like she was waiting for something, but now I know she wasn't waiting. She was disappearing. A little more each day, into routines that didn't need her heart, only her hands. I saw it happen. I just didn't know I was watching someone drown in plain sight. I made a promise to myself that day. I would never be her. So I left. Not physically at first, but emotionally. I studied hard, won a scholarship, moved to the city for college. I became a social worker, spent 40 years helping other people navigate their lives. I didn't marry until I was 37, and even then I kept my own name, my own bank account, my own rhythm. I thought I had escaped. But Tuesday morning, sitting in that kitchen, I realized something I'd been avoiding my whole life. I built a different cage. It's subtle. No one would see it from the outside. I don't cook 3 meals a day or iron anyone's shirts. But I wake up at 5 because my body won't let me sleep past that. I sit in silence because I've trained myself not to need noise. I keep my house clean not because anyone's coming over, but because I can't stand the chaos. And when I look out my window while making coffee, I feel it. That same faraway stare my mother had. Different duties. Same exhaustion. I never wanted children, so I didn't have them. I never wanted to depend on a man, so I built a career. But somewhere along the way, I replaced one kind of duty with another. I spent decades caring for strangers, managing crises, holding space for other people's pain. I told myself it was different because I chose it. But exhaustion doesn't care about choice. It arrives the same way. There was a case I worked on in my 40s, a woman named Patricia, maybe 10 years younger than me. She came to my office because her marriage was falling apart. She had 3 children, no degree, no work history. She cried in my office and said she felt trapped. I helped her find resources, encouraged her to take classes, walked her through every option. And the whole time, I thought I was saving her from becoming my mother. But when she left my office that day, I stayed late finishing paperwork. I ate a granular bar at my desk. I drove home in the dark. I microwaved leftovers and ate them standing at the counter. And then I sat in front of the television until I was too tired to think. But I didn't see the pattern yet. Not until decades later. Last month, I attended a community meeting. A younger woman, maybe 40, was talking about work-life balance. She used phrases like boundary setting and self-care Sunday. She was confident, assertive, educated. And yet, as she spoke, I saw the same tiredness in her eyes. She was running too, just like me, just like my mother. That's when it started to crack open. I went home and pulled out an old photo album. My mother's high school graduation picture was tucked inside. She was 18, standing in front of a church, wearing a pale blue dress. Her face was soft, hopeful. I've seen that picture 100 times, but this time, I looked at her eyes. Really looked. She had wanted something too. I don't know what it was. She never told me. Maybe she wanted to sing or travel or study art. Maybe she just wanted a life that felt like hers. But the world she grew up in didn't ask women what they wanted. It told them, and she listened. Or maybe she didn't have a choice. I'll never know now. I found something else in that box, a letter she'd written to her sister in 1959. It was folded carefully, edges yellowed. In it, she mentioned wanting to take a secretarial course. She thought it might give her something to do when I started school. But then, my father's hours got cut at the plant, and the money went somewhere else. She never brought it up again. I sat on my bedroom floor with that letter in my hands for over an hour. She had wanted to grow too. I used to judge her for that. I thought she was weak. I thought she gave up. But sitting there with her picture in my hands, I felt something shift. It wasn't pity. It was recognition. She wasn't weak. She was surviving something I didn't understand yet, and I was doing the exact same thing. I spent the next few days thinking about all the ways I tried to be different from her. I didn't stay home, so I worked 60-hour weeks. I didn't cook for a husband, so I ate cereal for dinner alone. I didn't fold someone else's laundry, so I folded my own in silence at midnight. Different tasks, same isolation. I remember my last day of work before I retired. My colleagues threw me a small party. There was cake and a card everyone signed. They said kind things about my dedication, my commitment, how much I'd helped people. And I smiled and thanked them. But when I got home that night, I sat in my car in the driveway for 20 minutes before I could go inside. The house felt so quiet, like it had been waiting for me to notice. I called my cousin last Thursday. She's 71 and still sharp. We talked about our mothers. They were sisters. She told me something I'd never heard before. Apparently, my mother had wanted to be a nurse. She'd even started the application process. But then she met my father, and his family needed help with their store, and she set it aside. She told herself she'd go back later. She never did. I sat with that for a long time after we hung up. I thought about all the things I did accomplish. My degree, my career, my independence. I thought I had honored her by doing what she couldn't. But maybe I missed the point. Maybe she didn't need me to be different. Maybe she just needed me to understand. I've been thinking about the word escape. I used it my whole life. I escaped domesticity. I escaped dependence. I escaped her fate. But escape implies that something is chasing you. And the truth is, I've been running from a ghost. Not her ghost, mine. The version of myself that might have been trapped, might have been silent, might have stared out a window with nothing left to say. But here's the thing I'm only now starting to see. She wasn't trapped because she stayed home. She was trapped because no one asked her what she wanted. And I wasn't free because I left. I was free because I had options. The difference wasn't in our choices, it was in whether we had any. That realization didn't bring peace. It brought something else, something I wasn't ready to name. There's a memory I keep coming back to. I must have been around 10. My mother was baking bread, and I was sitting at the table doing homework. She was kneading the dough with steady, practiced hands. I asked her why she didn't just buy bread from the store like my friend's mother did. She paused for a second, then said, "Because this is what I know how to do." At the time, I thought she meant it was easier. Now I think she meant it was all she had left that felt like hers. I started baking bread 2 weeks ago. I'd never made it before. I used a recipe I found online, and it took me 3 tries to get it right. The first loaf came out dense and heavy. The second one burned on the bottom, but the third one rose perfectly. When I pulled it from the oven, the smell filled my kitchen. It smelled like Saturday mornings, like her hands, like home. I didn't plan to cry, but I did. Last Sunday, I did something I haven't done in years. I made my mother's mac and cheese. The recipe was in an old box of her things I've been avoiding. I followed it exactly. The sharp cheddar, the breadcrumb topping, the dash of paprika she always added. It took me 2 hours. When it came out of the oven, I sat down at my table and ate a bowl in silence. It tasted like her kitchen, like Sunday afternoons, like the life I swore I'd never live. And I cried, not because I regretted my choices, I don't, but because I finally understood hers. She did what she could with what she had, and so did I. We both wanted peace. We just looked for it in different places, and maybe neither of us found it. Or maybe we both did, in small moments we didn't recognize at the time. I don't know if she was happy. I wish I'd asked her. I wish I'd sat with her in that kitchen and said, "Was this what you wanted?" But I was too young, too angry, too certain I knew better. I thought her silence was surrender. I didn't realize it might have been endurance. The truth is, I spent so many years being proud of what I wasn't that I forgot to see what I was. I wasn't trapped in a kitchen, but I was trapped in my own certainty. I wasn't silent because someone told me to be, but I was silent because I didn't know how to stop moving long enough to speak. And my mother? She wasn't weak. She was surviving. And maybe that's the bravest thing a woman can do when the world tells her she doesn't get to choose. I'm not sure what to do with this now. I can't go back. I can't apologize. I can't undo the years I spent pitching her life as a cautionary tale. But I can stop running. I can sit with the truth. I am my mother's daughter. Not because I repeated her life, but because I carry her quietly. In my early mornings, in my capable hands, in the way I hold things together even when I'm falling apart. She taught me that, even if she didn't mean to. There's a picture on my mantle now. It's the one from her high school graduation. I put it there last week. Some mornings I look at it and feel sad. Other mornings I feel proud. Mostly I just feel connected. Like maybe we were never that different after all. Just two women trying to make sense of a world that kept moving faster than we could catch up. Yesterday a neighbor stopped by. She's younger, maybe 50. She brought over some mail that was delivered to her house by mistake. We stood on my porch talking for a few minutes. She mentioned she was overwhelmed with work, with aging parents, with everything pulling at her from different directions. And I saw it. That same look my mother had. That same look I've been carrying. I wanted to tell her it gets easier, but I'm not sure it does. So instead, I just listened. And when she left, I realized that maybe that's what my mother needed too. Not advice, not solutions, just someone to see her. I still wake up at 5. I still make my coffee in silence. But now, when I look out the window, I'm not running anymore. I'm just remembering. And maybe, for the first time, I'm forgiving. Both of us. But there's one thing I still can't figure out. If I'd known this all along, would I have chosen differently? Or was this always where I was going to end up?